Welcome to the Past Present Feature Podcast. Gaby Dellal discusses the journey of creating her latest film, Park Avenue, which just premiered at the Santa Barbara International Film Festival. Her past inspirations include Midnight Cowboy and Midnight Express. She reflects on her transition from acting to directing, the themes of motherhood in her work, and the impact of industry politics on her projects. Gaby also speaks on the intricacies of independent filmmaking, including her experiences working with the now infamous Harvey Weinstein. The discussion also highlights the importance of collaboration to create emotional depth in storytelling, patience and resilience when facing gaps between projects, and today's challenges in navigating film festivals. I watched your movie. Thank you for sharing. It's so good.
Oh, good. Did you love it?
I really appreciated it. The writing was really tight, and the directing was tight. The acting was tight. The cinema, everything was just really nicely done. It didn't.
Oh, I'm so pleased.
Right? That's what you want. I mean, that's what I want when somebody's watching a film. I just want, it just moved. It moved. It had a nice balance between staying in it and not feeling rushed, like you didn't want to rush through it, but you also it felt like it had some breath to it. So thank you. And did you world premiere at Santa Barbara with this one?
We did. And it went down really, really well. I think that the film is about a mother and daughter, and the mother's of a certain age. And I think that the audience was just right for it. So for me, it was very exciting because all the jokes landed beautifully. And I'd never heard it in a place where people appreciate the humor and the cuttingness of Fiona Shaw, who plays the mother, who's called Kit. She's so good, and it's so severe what she does. And what I've written is so severe that you have to have the dexterity and the charm to be able to deliver it without alienating your audience. And what it showed me in Santa Barbara is that it did not alienate. They just appreciated her, which was a beautiful thing to watch.
They're such a great audience. It's such a perfect place for a festival. I premiered my last film at Santa Barbara. And
did you?
Oh, yes. It's just such a wonderful memory and experience. So Santa Barbara world premiere. You have Dublin coming up. What else do you have festival-wise, since we're already talking about it?
Oh, so I don't know at the moment. I want to go to Venice. Not Venice. I want to go to Vienna, but because I've never been to Vienna. I know we're waiting to hear from a women's festival in Paris, which I would be interested to do.
Okay.
So yeah, we've only just started this long process.
Got you. And so Santa Barbara world premiere, how did that come about as far as, because it's such an interesting landscape with festivals when I look at it from a calendar standpoint. Why the world premiere at Santa Barbara? How did that kind of shake out?
Well, I think I wanted ultimately to go to the New York Film Festival. For some reason, they turned me down, which I thought was a bit silly since it's called Park Avenue. So then my next step was to go to Santa Barbara. And as you say, I never really know what the LA Film Festival is. So I suppose everybody told me this was a great festival, so that's what we chose.
Is Santa Barbara Film Festival being kind of the LA Film Festival? Do you think the reason for that is because LA is simply just not prioritizing kind of the craft or the appreciation of film? And I know that that's not completely true, but as far as film festivals are concerned, it's like LA is business first, I guess. That's my guess as to why,
All us independent filmmakers need business as well. So,
sure.
We need it to be bought. And the landscape is so bleak at the moment. So, that's not, I'm very keen to get distribution. At the moment, we've got a sales company and that's great. But it's hard. It's really hard out there because, as we know, no one goes to the cinema anymore. And I came on the plane and I've realized now that they're soon going to take the screens out of planes.
No,
because
what?
They've now put a little thing. So your tray table comes down, but they put a little ledge just for your mobile phone.
Oh.
And what they do is you can go on. Yeah. So it's a real bore. It's a terrible thing.
It's all about saving money, everything.
Yeah.
I'm not shocked though. Next thing you know, we're going to be sitting on bicycle seats on the plane. You're right. I mean, like we do need show and business. Yeah. I mean, it's a balance like everything else, you know, like you need that because Hollywood is the linchpin as far as like, it's where it all goes out of. It's the output pivot point, you know, where it's like everything everybody sees comes from here, you know, no matter where it's filmed or whatever. So I guess for the most part, you would say mass distributed. Your sales agent, who's your sales agent?
Global Screen.
Okay. How do you decide on, and I like talking about this little practical stuff too. I love the challenge of like what's after a movie. Well, I love a challenge. I don't know why. There's something wrong with me, but I just get activated when I'm like, you tell me no, or this is hard, you know. But as far as sales, that's a total challenge every time. It's like, who's the audience for this? Who's the market? Who's the sales agent that's going to see it for what it is and how to, you know, properly traverse the sales space. So anyways, how do you know what sales team to go with?
Well, I went with the one who was most excited by the movie, and I feel they're very into the movie and they really get it. And so for me, that's the most important thing. Whether they're brilliant or not, I don't know yet.
Sure. Yeah, totally. Okay, so your movie itself. Going back, you as a filmmaker. So when did you first either realize that you wanted to be a filmmaker, or were you making films before you even made that kind of out loud decision?
No. I was always an actor until I was about 27, and then I started having kids, and I was primarily a theatre actress. Then I realized that as a theatre actor, I used to do something called rep, which would be going around the country. And when I started having kids, I couldn't leave my kids. And so I started trying to write for theatre, actually. And then I started a company where we did readings. So it was really easy for me to do. Then I decided to write a short film out the blue, and I wanted to find a director to make it. And then my partner said, you're the one that has to make it. No one will understand your sensibility. And I said, no, I can't do that, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I decided to do it. And then this particular short film did really well. It was a short film and it was called Toy Boys. And it was 25 minutes long and it did really well. And it won a load of awards in England. And so from there, I got another short film, which was, it was a long film and it was called Tube Tales. Mm-hmm. And it was made up of lots of short films all set on the subway. So then I got Rachel, the theatre company I had been working in, she had just got The Mummy. And so I stepped into her shoes. So then I kind of got to know her. So then when I did the second, Rosebud, I got Rachel in it. So then I was kind of on a thing. And then I did a film called Football, and that got into Sundance. And then, so that was great at Sundance. I got lots of attention there. And then I got a movie called Two Wheels Only. I was trying to cast, it was about kids on motorbikes. And I really wanted this girl, and it was all financed out of Italy. And I went fight this young girl's corner, and they said, she's not good enough, she's not beautiful enough. And she was called Keira Knightley. And I said, I fought for her and they wouldn't let me use her. So then I met with Sienna, who'd never done anything. And they said, okay, to Sienna. So then I had about 35 seconds of fame, and I had CAA and everyone go mad. And then it lasted 38 seconds. And then, and so then I started, and I never acted again.
Oh, wow. You never acted again? Oh.
No.
Wow. 38 seconds. That's pretty good.
Yeah. Well, how long's your 10? Okay, so maybe 38 is pretty good.
There was one project where I equate it. There's one project that everybody said yes to, this documentary about my hometown basketball story. Anyways, we had a green light all the way through, and all I had to do was confirm with that good old boy head coach back in North Carolina to say, yes, we'll allow filming through the season. And he said no. And then I went and I turned it into a short film, and we did our thing anyways. We finished it. But yeah, it was very exciting. Like, why is everybody saying yes? What's the catch here? The hell, you know? And then you realize, like, my view of Hollywood kind of changed at that point too, where it's like they want to just use you. It's a low hanging fruit. I mean, if you have something to provide of use to them, then they'll play ball. And if you don't, marketable wise, timing wise, then they won't. It's not really personal at all, I guess, which helped me get over all that stuff. So you're 38 after your post 38 seconds. What did that look like? How did you move on once CAA stopped harassing you?
So then it was like every independent filmmaker, it became harder and harder. And I'd made a film called Angel's Crest, which was great with Elizabeth McGovern. And that was good. It got a lot of attention. It went to Tribeca, blah, blah, blah. Magnolia bought it. But, I find that every filmmaker, especially women, get 4 or 5 years between projects.
Oh, wow.
So you finish a movie and you go, oh, I've learned that. I'm going to apply it to the next movie. And then you've forgotten because it's taken so many years to get the next project off the ground. So for me, it's taken a long time to get projects off the ground. But I've done TV. I've just finished an episode of You, which is great.
Ooh, the Netflix show?
Yeah. And then I also do a lot of theater. I direct a lot of theater.
Amazing. I'm going to do my first play soon, I think. Direct my first play.
Oh, you are? Yeah, it's really fun.
I have this project that is based on the basketball doc that I told you, but it takes place entirely in a double wide trailer in North Carolina, my hometown. And it's about this basketball prodigy, this, big recruit who is having this party. It's all in real time. He's having this announcement party where he's going to go play basketball. And it's all about the ownership mentality of like an athlete, right? Everybody but the athlete thinks that they know best for this guy. And so anyways, it's like, I want to make a film, but I was thinking of also doing a kind of a little modest, like, I don't know, 99 seat play first, just to like workshop it. Any advice for me for my first play?
It's very different to directing a film, and it's a very ensemble thing. It's about the acting, and obviously it's about the production design, etc. But it's a very like close, you have a lot of time in rehearsal, and then you let go when the production goes up. So it's a different thing, and it's an actor's medium.
Sure. And that's what I want. That's why I kind of want to do it, because it seems different. And I was a huge fan always of Mike Nichols. I know he had a play background first. He was directing plays. He was in them first, right? And then directing them. And then his films, like, were always better for it, I think. Wasn't Sidney Lumet also from the play, back from the theater stage background?
So, yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So all those guys, like their films were so tight. And of course, it's like the acting is always fantastic for that. So anyways, thank you for giving me a background of your stuff. You had a few more films since.
Yes, I did. I did a film called 3 Generations, which made a big storm at Cannes, and Harvey Weinstein wore a dress to try and convince us. So it was before the trans explosion, but Harvey was clever because he knew that what I had made, no one had made anything particular or commercial about a mother having a trans. So it's basically about 3 generations of women, Susan Sarandon, Naomi Watts, and Elle Fanning. And Elle Fanning wants to transition to a boy. So we made it, we showed it at Cannes. Harvey went bananas, and there was a bidding war, and Harvey bid the most. And he knew, like he always knew, what was going to work. But he didn't really have the money that he offered. So there was a sort of delay because he was just greedy. He was just Bleecker Street. He was trying to knock everyone out of the court because he was right. And then he was conscious, because I had written it from the mother's point of view, because I didn't know very much from the child's point of view. And it was so not out in the open yet. Transparent wasn't out yet.
Yeah. The conversations weren't being had. Yeah.
No. And so then Harvey made me do a re-edit to up the child's point of view, and he was right. So I was able to do that and shift the balance, which was really great.
Wow. So he was good at giving notes and tweaking.
Yeah, he was brilliant at giving notes.
Wow.
And then he was a nightmare, though, but he was brilliant. And anyway, so then when we released it, the trans world was getting a hold, and they went mad that I didn't cast a trans actor. And so poor Elle Fanning was left feeling, to this day, where she won't mention it. But my argument, and I had so many arguments online, was it's a child who hasn't transitioned yet.
Okay.
She's born a girl, and isn't presenting yet. She's presenting as a boy, but she hasn't started hormones.
Sure.
The whole thing was about the permission to start hormones. So I didn't think there was anything wrong. Plus, at the time, the attention on trans actors was very small. You know, we were on the road to a whole Oscar campaign, and Elle should have really got it, but then the politics got in the way.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so we're never, you hit the zeitgeist without knowing. You're there before anyone else.
Love these stories. These are so important because and it's so separate of the film itself, right? It's like the campaign of the film. Even this year's campaign, where it's like, I've been rooting for Honora since I saw it. I just love Sean Baker and Honora. You seen Honora?
I love Sean Baker. Yeah.
Then it's like he kind of, he won Cannes and then whatever. But then you had The Brutalist kind of coming up and Amelia Perez, and all of a sudden Honora kind of got the shadow.
Yeah, but I think Honora's coming back.
No. That's my point. Then now it's back because they just won Critics' Choice. They just won DGA. He just won DGA. Did they win PGA? I think they won all the guilds.
I don't know. But he's a lovely filmmaker, isn't he? He just knows how to entertain.
You know what? I think he just also, like this podcast, and I've hit him up a few times. I'm like trying to get him on this podcast, and he's like so kind and sweet. But he was like, I just have so much going on. But I just love how sweet he is and how he's a good human, but also he knows his cinema. Like he watches movies. He knows some obscure stuff. You know what I mean? Honora, I'm hoping, takes it all. That's my favorite movie of the year. But it's like
mine was Nickel Boys.
I didn't see it yet.
Oh, you better see it.
Okay. Really I watched Conclave last night, which I really enjoyed. I'm on an Oscar.
I loved Conclave.
So good. So tight and solid. Like, loved it. Loved the cinematography also. But I bring it up because it's just so interesting, the gauntlet of like a campaigning for a film all the way to Oscar, all the way from like the festival debut through to the from what I don't have any experience, but I just as a film lover and onlooker, it's such an interesting space to look at from afar. And could you imagine the relief the day after you win the Oscar? Like, oh, it's over.
Yeah, it must be. Yeah, must be really hard.
We'll know soon. We'll know. I mean, it's also like the film gods have a hand in all this too, wouldn't you say?
Yes, I think they do. They're never on my side, but I think the film gods do.
But also, what lovely experiences you seem to have had too, as far as even though, of course, Harvey's polarizing, and we don't have to get into all the recent stuff. But I mean, like he was so respected, like he was good at what he did. Separating the art from the artist for a minute. I'm a big Polanski guy, but it's like, it's awkward combo, if you get into it. But Park Avenue is a woman who returns to her New York City apartment after fleeing her controlling husband. She rediscovers her life and must face buried truths with her mother. I was very surprised when this film opened because, of course, I'm expecting Park Avenue, New York City. And you're in the wilderness. You're in the country. You're in the
I shot it in Colorado.
Okay.
I wanted it to be, I wrote it as Saskatchewan. So the idea is that the daughter rejects her childhood home, which is Park Avenue, and goes and lives in Saskatchewan. She's a cowgirl, a cowboy. And I always dreamed of making a film about Park Avenue, but the titles being on this beautiful, wild Western expanse.
I love that.
So I got that. And so that was a thrill. And then I shot a lot more there. But what we discovered through the edit is that you just wanted to get to the crux of the story, which was a mother and daughter spending time together unannounced. So they'd been estranged. The daughter's 40-something, the mother's 60-something. The mother's dying of cancer and wants to do it quietly and on her own. And the daughter turns up unannounced. And they end up spending about 6 to 8 weeks together. And they discover secrets and lies, which have formed the daughter. And so in order for her to be released and broken free from the ties that bound her, which is endless lies that she was told as a child, she needs to confront and get the truth. And amazingly, she does without knowing that it's actually the last few weeks of her mother's life. And so at the beginning of the film, she arrives and has to ask her mother for a hug. And at the end of the film, she holds her mother in a fetal position in a hospital in New York City, where the mother is dying of cancer, which is a complete shock to the daughter.
I'm so glad you said all that because I wasn't sure what spoiler situation or whatever. It had such a balance to it. And I told you, like, it had such a flow and a balance to the script, to the story. And I see here you had a little bit of a quote here. I seem to make films about mothers and kids, which you've already established. Why is that? Why do you think? Where does that come from?
Well, the best creations of my life are my children. And I guess the notion of being a mother inspires me. And although I only have male children, this one's about a mother and daughter because I am the daughter of a mother and we all have mothers. So I think it's always about working something out in one's own life, and it's our different artistic expressions of the experiences we grow up with. So I don't think that I'm making a very similar film, but apparently I am. My children seem to say, "Oh, Mom, it's just the same film as last one."
But you have different angles, different flavors of the same kind of themes and topics, right? Which is like, you really feel like you're contributing something too. Like you do have something to say, which is a good thing.
Yeah, but a lot of writer-directors actually do make the same film. So one person who makes the same film is Andrea Arnold.
Oh, yeah.
Who's one of my heroes. And they never bore, but they're always the same landscape. And they're always the same people.
What's your favorite Andrea Arnold?
Well, I'm very in love with her one, Bird, at the moment. I mean, Bird, it's fantastic. Have you seen it?
No, I've been sleeping on Andrea Arnold. Fish Tank. Fish Tank was the first one that I saw. I'm like, what is this? This is so special and weird and great.
Yeah.
Something.
Yeah.
And then the other one?
Red Road, Wuthering Heights, Cow. But, Fish Tank was her best film, I think. And Bird, you just go, oh, it's the same. It's the same estate, or as we say in America, projects. It's the same kids. They're going to dance. They're going to be naked. They're going to be in underwear. They're going to be screaming at each other and swearing.
If you make a good cheeseburger, and I'm not going to call this a cheeseburger, but if you make a good branzino, which is what I'm good at making, it's my best dish.
What she does is every film is so moving. And even though you know where it's heading, I watch them and I weep. And it's so heartfelt. So
yeah.
And I love her because she's the opposite to me. So she makes films completely different from me. So I can admire her.
What do you mean opposite of you? How so?
Just her visuals. Everything is different.
Okay.
Her, her landscape. It's all very different.
Sure.
But I totally appreciate her. And I think she's a brilliant filmmaker.
And so, Bird's the one that just came out, right? Was it at Cannes or was it at Toronto? Where was it?
I think it was at Cannes. It was Cannes.
Cannes, yeah. I never know how to pronounce Cannes. I will never pick one. I'll go back and forth always. Bird is about Bailey, 12 years old, lives with her single father, Bug, and her brother, Hunter, in a squat in northern Kent. Bug doesn't have much time to devote to his children, and Bailey, who is approaching puberty, seeks attention and adventure elsewhere. And you saw it at New York Film Festival?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, gotcha. So it's coming, yeah. And then what would you think Fish Tank is probably her best film? What's your most favorite Andrea Arnold film besides Bird?
Fish Tank.
Okay, there you go. Moving right along. Fish Tank was also the first time I think I saw Michael Fassbender. Were there any films growing up that really shaped you?
Yeah, Midnight Express. All the Hudsucker Proxy.
Oh, wow. Hudsucker Proxy. That was filmed in my my almost hometown of Wilmington, North Carolina.
Oh, was it?
Mm-hmm. I used to work for the key grip of that film. So he was telling me stories about the Collins and all this. I never saw this.
No, because you're too young, but it was such a brilliant, seminal film. Yeah, you should watch it.
Okay, I will. Nice. What is it about the film that got you going?
I think it was the two characters. I think it was Midnight Cowboy as well. I think it was a situation. It was two guys being thrown into prison for smuggling hash.
Okay.
In Turkey.
Yes.
And it was fantastic and gripping.
Midnight Cowboy, I rewatched it recently.
And it works still.
Yes, what a stunningly made film. Just the use of camera and frame and everything. It's such a beautiful... And
probably Butch Cassidy was seminal to me, and probably why I wanted to make a film with a cowboy in it.
Okay.
And then just thought of that.
Would you say Butch Cassidy in this? Okay, do you like westerns or like kind of It's almost like you're talking about anti-westerns here in a way. This is just how I interpret it.
Yeah.
Where it's like what happens after the frontier is discovered, right?
Yeah.
I just finished a documentary that I put an anti-western structure onto about the indigenous Tuscarora native people of North Carolina. And I was like, what if it's not about cowboys and Indians, but Indians and cowboys? You know what I mean? Where it's like, what? This is after the frontier's discovered. Like, and you start thinking about these films, like, I think Outlaw Josie Wells would be one, McCabe and Mrs. Miller. Like, that's one. Midnight Cowboy is probably the perfect example as far as, it's like the cowboy in the city. I mean, come on. Anyways, yeah, that's what I think of. It's like this Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid. They're getting chased by these like corporate hired hands, right? The whole time. Anti-Western. And they're trying to like navigate the new world in a way. Can you talk about writing and like kind of production of this, of Park Avenue? Like, first of all, like you co-wrote it, I believe.
7 years in the making. Basically, it was based on a woman I met in Central Park walking my dog. And I just met her and she was amazing. And she was called Kit, which is the name. And she said, don't ever have chemotherapy. And she was just screaming it out to no one, feeling very sick, leaning up against a tree. And so I said, can I help you, madam? And I sat down and we became friends. And then we would walk our dogs. And I discovered that she was dying. And we spent 2 years walking together. And then she eventually died. And I had a secret fantasy that she lived on Park Avenue and that she would end up giving me her apartment, which was just a fantasy. And then I started writing every time I finished my walk because I thought, this is inspiring me and this is a story I think I want to tell. And I felt like her daughter. And so I started writing about a daughter having a moment with her mother. And it was based on her, based on my mother, based on my co-writer's mother. Basically, I wrote it for a long time on my own. It was very solid. And then I needed someone to come in and I needed an American voice and I needed to start. What happens with me often is I write until I can't write anymore and then I need somebody to bounce off. And so, that's what I did. And so I had a great co-writer called Tina Alexis Allen and we spent several years in different towns, in different countries, but swapping ideas and swapping scenes and then rewriting each other's scenes. And anyway, so we came up with this and that's kind of my process. And then we then I found a producer and then I got it on. So that's its genesis.
Question. How did you decide on this particular screenwriter?
I had been working with her on something else, Tina, and so it just seemed like a nice match. We liked each other.
It's a no-brainer. Yeah, got you. And then so production, any notable kind of challenges or highlights? I mean, anything that's...
Not really. No, it was all quite smooth and great, and New York was a great host, and there's, a dream making a movie in New York City. So yeah, I have been blessed. And the process has been seamless and exciting. And working with Fiona Shaw was a real brilliant thing. So I'm very grateful for that.
So how do you go about kind of packaging and getting your films ready to be made and produced and taking it from the page to real life? How does that process usually look for you?
So it's really about chipping away at something and being tenacious and not being afraid of being rejected, which you get time and time and time again. So actors don't read, actors take 6 months, agents get in the way, and then, trial and error.
Sure. Got you. What would you tell your early filmmaking self if you could go back in time and say, hey, me, check this out. Think about this.
To enjoy the process. It's taken me this long to actually not worry about the outcome, whether it comes out, who champions it, who sees it. Just enjoy the process of working with actors, designing a set, writing, executing the film, editing it, doing the sound, making the music, and then you just have to give it up and put it into the big world. And if it doesn't stick, it doesn't stick. Move on and make another.
Please like and subscribe to this podcast and follow us on social media at Past Present Feature. And let us know in the comments section what movies you're watching. Thank you so much for listening to the Past Present Feature podcast, and we'll see you next time. Peace.